Les chansons de Prévert me reviennent de tous les souffleurs de verre. Laine du vieux ferré, les cris, la tempête. Boris vient, ça s'écrie à la trompette. Rive gauche à Paris, adieu mon pays.
You are listening to Riverwest Radio on WXRW LP on 104.1 FM in Milwaukee, streaming and archived on riverwestradio.com, and by telling your smart speaker and phone to play WXRW, where the world experiences River West. Bonsoir, welcome to Rive Gauche, your weekly rendezvous with French and Francophone culture, brought to you by the Alliance Française de Milwaukee. I'm Anne, and today I have as my guest Pierre Davis Dutrex. Bonsoir, Pierre.
Bonsoir, Anne. Nice to be here.
Yeah, actually, I see you every Tuesday when I'm here because you are very involved in the radio. And even, I think you are starting a show, or you just started your own show in addition to having a role in actually producing the radio.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
I started a show last Friday called La Java, which is a show of international music. And voila.
Fantastic. And we're going to talk a little bit more about your show, but I just noticed that Rive Gauche, the Alliance Française's show, is approaching its 9th anniversary. So we started our show in April of 2016. So that's pretty exciting. And we'll try to have an anniversary show soon.
Absolutely. I should have brought a cake if I'd known.
Yeah, well, I have to look and see if there are records of when exactly our first show was. But it's exciting. You're starting a show called La Java, and you have quite a bit of radio experience. So tell us a little bit, when did you start and how did you start working on the radio?
Well, I started quite a few years ago in the early 80s while I was living in Vermont. I was an engineer and a producer at Vermont Public Radio. And then after that, at another radio station in White River Junction, Vermont, which is right on the border of Vermont and New Hampshire, up near Dartmouth College and on the Connecticut River. So, and I had a show that was very similar to the one I'm doing now. It was called also La Java. And a lot of my friends, when they heard that I was starting up the show again, it brought back hopefully a lot of good memories for them.
And what is the significance of the title La Java?
Well, La Java comes from the island of Java, and it's an expression that I think at the beginning of the 20th century, because this was an expression I think when my grandmother was growing up, and it's based basically on a dance called La Javanaise, which was probably done at the same time as they were doing the Charleston in, I don't know, 1910, 1918, in the 20s maybe, the roaring 20s. And then the expression just got shortened down to doing La Java, which basically means, doing the dance, obviously, but basically now it means going out and partying, having a good time. So that's
and it's more of a French expression than an English one.
Oh, it's a very French expression, absolutely. My grandmother's French, so yes. So La Java means basically to go out and have a good time.
Fantastic. And I forgot to mention that one of the things you've been doing here at Riverwest Radio is helping us live stream these shows. So not only do people hear us, but they actually can see us just talking.
That's right.
On Facebook, right?
Got to go on Riverwest Radio Facebook page, and yes, absolutely, they can see us live and in color.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
it is.
That's a lot of technology happening. So exciting. So you started a show, Riverwest Radio, so 104.1 FM. You can hear it on the radio if you are, I think, within 5 miles of the radio station. And you said 8 p.m. on Fridays?
Absolutely, 8 p.m. on Fridays. People can log on to the website as well at Riverwest Radio and listen to it from around the world if they want.
That's really fantastic. And you said you play music from. So what? How do you choose the music that you play?
Well, the show is basically international world music, so that's a wide door that opens. I can basically play anything from everywhere. And honestly, I started off my first show by playing music from Africa, because that is the birthplace of civilization and probably of music as well. So I figured I would start my first show by going to the roots of us all. And then every show is going to be very different from one another. Basically, I improvise most of my shows. I start off maybe with a theme, and then from there on, I just go how my mood is of that evening. Sometimes I'm happy, joyful, and I'll be happy, fun, danceable music. Other times I'll be more like Brazilian samba, bossa nova, which has always a tinge of saudade, as they call it, a little tristesse in that music. So it will vary, and of course every country has their different style. Cuban music has their kind of rhythm typical of themselves. Music from South America, also from Peru, has its real typical type of music as well, and French music as well. And obviously I like also music from Japan as well, more traditional music, try to mix it up with the newer music. So, and then I also explain and talk about the artist that I'm familiar with, at least, and give a little background on their lives, on how they came about, or general information about either the musicians or the music itself.
Very cool. And so you mentioned you started in the 1980s in the Vermont, New Hampshire area. You also lived quite a bit of time in France, right?
Yes, I did, yes.
And did you do radio in France, or?
Well, my my main job is I'm an artist. I'm a painter. So no, in France I basically just painted for the last 20 years or so, or if not longer. Because even when I was in Vermont, I was a painter as well. So I basically don't know how to do anything else except paint.
And radio.
And radio, I guess, yes.
And so tell us a little bit about your career as a painter, or your profession as a painter.
Well, that is something that I cannot do. I mean, just because if I could do it well and explain it well, I would probably be a writer and a poet.
Okay.
So it's a visual thing, and unfortunately, I don't have any paintings with me, even though we are on streaming live on Facebook. I don't have any paintings with me. So
when did you start painting?
I started painting in the early 80s. I lived for several years in the late 70s in South America. And when I came back, I was kind of seeking what I was going to do in life. So I was doing carpentry as well. And at the same time, I started painting because when I was in Uruguay, in Montevideo, I was living with a group of people who were artists themselves and painters, and and I always kind of dabbed around in it when I was younger, but never really thinking. I wasn't bred and educated to be a painter. I was educated for my parents' way other goals than that.
Okay, and can you tell us what those were, or?
Well, I'd probably be like a businessman, a banker, or something like my father was.
Businessman and painter is not a bad combination.
Absolutely, that's true. Unfortunately, I dropped off the business part.
Yeah, but it's nice to have a little bit of business background sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know that you are patiently awaiting your paintings and supplies, which are somewhere between France and here right now.
Well, last I heard, they're in Baltimore.
Okay.
So I did FaceTime with the movers down there. So I did see them. I saw all my boxes and all my rolls of painting. And so I'm hoping to receive them in the next couple, 3 weeks from now, hopefully.
That's
So
exciting. It's been not quite a year that they've been traveling.
They left France last June, but I must say it seems like 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I haven't painted since that is the longest I've been my whole life without actually painting, and I can't wait to get to it, honestly.
And then when everything arrives, you'll have a studio in Milwaukee?
Well, not yet. I've talked to a lot of people through the radio station. People have given me a few hints of where to look, but I didn't see the point of doing that since I didn't have either my materials or my paintings. So I've just been waiting patiently, and hopefully I will find a wall, because I do not need much. And I say a wall because I usually staple my canvases or paper, whatever I'm working on the walls, and rather than stretching them on stretchers, because it's easier to store. You just unhook them, roll them up, and I paint very quickly. I paint a lot, so it accumulates very quickly.
That's exciting. So we're excited to see where you'll end up. I think Milwaukee is actually not a bad place for artists, just because real estate is a little bit easier than some of the bigger cities.
Right. I believe it. I've seen already a few very nice galleries in Milwaukee. So I just, I'm waiting.
Exciting stuff.
Yes, exactly.
So we're talking about your show and just gearing up to the anniversary of our show. So I thought we would play a few songs about the radio, and I did a quick search and found a couple songs. So this one is called Dans la radio by Jacques.
C'est bien la première fois que j'entends ma voix en dehors de moi, dans la radio. Je ne me reconnais pas, je ne sais pas si j'aime ça, mais regarde tout ce qu'on peut faire dans la radio. Je parle avec des gens qui sont intelligents, et moi j'ai pas d'avis, parce que je trouve que ça dépend. Je suis passé dans le futur, j'avais trop envie d'y repasser. Je me suis fait plein de contacts, là-bas les gens ont plein de projets, et moi je n'existais plus. Mais c'est pas important. Je ne me reconnais pas, je ne sais pas si j'aime ça, mais regarde tout ce qu'on peut faire dans la radio.
So that was Jacques dans la radio, kind of a song that was starting over a lot, but at least we get the gist. It was about the radio. And again, my name is Anne, and this is Rive Gauche, your weekly rendezvous with French and Francophone culture, brought to you by the Alliance Française de Milwaukee. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about our upcoming events. So at the end of the month, we are participating in La Nuit des Idées. So this is a program started by the French Institut Français and the French Embassy. And Night of Ideas, and the theme this year is Common Ground. So whether you're American, African, French, or Caribbean, the members of our Alliance Française community have two things in common: an interest in the French language and Francophone culture, and Milwaukee. So this year's Nuit des Idées will be in collaboration with Ex Fabula at their March 26th Story Slam entitled Tales of Milwaukee. So we're inviting everyone to come and tell us your story, hone your tale at the Story Starter Workshop before sharing them at the Story Slam. Stories can be either in French or in English. The workshop is at 5:15 and Story Slam is at 7 p.m. And the Alliance Française will cover the price of admission for any Alliance Française storytellers. And this will happen at Mitchell Street Arts on historic Mitchell Street.
Well, that's terrific.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. And then on March 31st is the start of our spring session classes. So we have an 11-week session of classes that will start at the end of March and run through June 6th. For more information, visit our website on afmilwaukee.org. And then we have a couple of, we have our tricoté, so our knitting tea, which will take place, the second meeting will take place on March 20th, free, open to the public. Bring something to do and chat in French at the Alliance Française. And then we are also partnering with Boswell Books, with the author Emma Donahue, and her book, which has a French theme. And then we have two special radio shows. So part of our Night of Ideas and Common Ground and just the idea of story slams, we are inviting Kayvon Cortez Jones to the radio on April 1st. And he will talk a little bit about himself, but especially recite his spoken word poem called Milwaukee, the Paris of the Midwest. So we felt that was really part of our theme.
Very appropriate.
Very appropriate, and very upbeat. And then on April 8th, a little bit less happy, is Sarah Davies Cordova will come, and we will commemorate the Rwandan massacre with some excerpts from a Rwandan author. But always very interesting. So a lot of exciting things happening. Visit our website for more information, afmilwaukee.org.
Milwaukee, the Paris of the Midwest.
Milwaukee, the Paris of the Midwest. I'm excited to hear.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, and Kayvon has participated in different programs with Radio Milwaukee, so we're excited to have him. So he's a young local poet.
Great. Looking forward to it.
So we're back with Pierre Davis Dutrex and talking about his new radio program called La Java, and world music. I was just shared something with my brother, who's a musician, about a specific type of music in the Congo, which is the most complex because it has several lines of melody. A Congolese, and now I can't remember the name of it, but there's some really exciting music coming from different parts of the world.
That's so true. Yeah. I mean, where I was living in Nice in France, in my painting studio was in a building with other artists and creators. And one of my friends there, Jalil, was a person that fixed and made djembes, and which is this hour-shaped drum from Senegal and Mali, and mostly Western Africa. And he also made balafons, which is I guess the grandfather of the xylophone, made with wooden slats and gourds underneath, and he also made the koras, which is again like a 21-string, like a lyre.
It's one of the most beautiful instruments, the kora.
You feel like you've died and went to heaven when
Exactly,
you listen to it.
yeah.
A beautiful instrument.
Beautiful.
So I was fortunate to learn a lot, not only discovering all these musics from these instruments, but seeing how they were made, actually. It was quite fascinating, and a great experience to have had him in the building.
And we have several Senegalese musicians who are in Milwaukee and who perform on stage, and then also do a lot with the Milwaukee Public School students, either teaching them drumming or dance. So we're a little bit exposed to Senegalese, especially Senegalese music in Milwaukee. I'm not sure if there's a whole lot of other, or I don't know of the other African groups. I'm sure there's some Nigerian and Ghanaians as well.
Well, it's the same in Nice where I was. Most of the Africans that I knew there were mostly Senegalese or from Mali, and they all also taught in schools and did storytelling with the music in the background, and ensembles of djembe players. And of course, they'd have classes where a lot of Niçois, people living in Nice, would join and learn. And the same in Paris as well. So it's great.
Yeah, and then there's one type of music that, among others, that really influenced his French music is North African music, and I don't know if it's Rive, but there is a strong North African influence in modern French music.
Very true, very true.
Yeah.
And my friends also my friend Jalil, who worked on all these instruments, he's originally from Morocco. So through him, I met a whole bunch of other Moroccans who became close friends of mine as well. So, and their music is also quite special and quite interesting as well.
Quite interesting. And then if you really dig down, I know I lived in Morocco for a couple of years, and they were talking about Gnawi music, finally the word Gnawi comes from Ghana. So it's there's influence from everywhere. And then there's Andalusian music, which comes from Spain. So everything's intermixed.
Absolutely. Everything's intermixed.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that Nawa music as well. They have these kind of percussion instruments that they use in their hands, which right now the name slips me. But just great stuff.
Not castanets, no.
No, that's the Spanish.
The Spanish, yeah.
But I forget.
Yeah, and even in Milwaukee, I love Riverwest Radio, but another radio which is pretty amazing is Radio Milwaukee, and it exposes us to a lot of different types of music, not just the top 10, but we're hearing more and more Latin music and music that's influenced by India, etc. So there's some exciting stuff happening. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good time to be interested in music. And do you play instruments as well?
I don't. I used to play when I was younger, the bass, and I started, I guess. But when I realized that you had to depend on many other people to get the work done, and so many different other egos involved, that I realized, like, since I was kind of a workaholic myself, that I just better to count on myself. And as a bass player, well, unfortunately, you need other musicians. So I just switched over to painting and like that. If I wanted to work, I could work and didn't have to depend on anybody. So there we go.
Yeah. Well, and then in Milwaukee, obviously, has a German influence and has a real accordion background. And there's just around the corner, somebody his name is Evan Maruski, I think, and he plays sort of a punk accordion, which is interesting. And the news today is that a beloved musician, and I know her first name is Pamela, I forgot her last name, who formed the Squeezettes, so an all-woman sort of punk accordion group, passed away recently. So there's a lot of different influences in Milwaukee, which can be pretty exciting.
I was here for Oktoberfest,
yeah.
so I did hear a lot of accordion, in that weekend, for sure.
Yeah, we like the accordion here, and was the accordion club, and still, I mean, unfortunately, accordion is of a different generation, so we have a little bit fewer.
Well, very French too. I mean, and the young generation picked it up and carried on that tradition with the musette kind of type of music and Les Négresses Vertes. I don't know if you know that band.
I don't, yeah.
So a lot of bands pick up that traditional. The French have a hard time moving on from traditions, so they did keep the tradition of accordions alive over there with the younger generation.
That's exciting. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Well, we are wrapping up our show. We're getting towards the end, but and I'm going to finish it with another radio song. But you've been listening to Rive Gauche, our weekly rendezvous with French and Francophone culture, brought to you by the Alliance Française de Milwaukee. We'll be on again next week. You can hear us live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. To hear past episodes of Rive Gauche, go to riverwestradio.com. And make sure to tune in to Pierre's show, La Java, on Fridays at 8 p.m. on Riverwest Radio.
Si loin de tes yeux, de ton univers, quelque part sur cette terre. Je cherche un moyen de communiquer depuis que l'orage est passé. Je sentais bien que mon cœur n'était plus à même de dire des mots comme je t'aime. Faut que je passe dans ta radio. Faut que je passe dans ta radio. Faut que je passe dans ta radio. Dans ma voix tu scannes les moindres mystères de ce tube FM.